What's happening YouTube? More motivation reactions back for another reaction video. So we got the truth about Michael Jordan's Wizard days. I feel like this is a very important video to react to when it comes to basketball because things are always thrown out of context. When you compare eras, people forget the word context. People will always go to what they know. In my humble opinion, if you haven't watched all the different eras, you have less say in the GOAT debates. You really do. If you've not been around to see Wilt, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Tim Duncan, Kobe, LeBron, Steph, now you don't have the right. Of course, you have the right to your own opinions. That's a different thing. But to act as if your opinions are facts is a different story. Like you just need that level of context when you're comparing, first of all, players from different eras, different positions, with different set of rules. Because rules impacts how you're going to play. If most of those players play now, how much freedom would they have? With how much resources, information, load management, you have things like that in the players' advantages now. Players now care more about stats than players before. Because if a player got hurt before, they'll still play. It will hurt their stats, but they'll still play. So a lot of things change. So we have to take that into account when making these debates. Who's better than the other? Especially if you're comparing two different eras, two different positions, things in that nature. Anyway, I got the video here. We're going to talk less and react more to it. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into the video. 3, 2, 1, let's get it.
The GOAT, Michael Jordan. By literally any metric used to evaluate basketball, Jordan clears any other player in NBA history. But as we move further and further away from his actual playing days, fewer and fewer people seem to truly remember his career. While virtually any perceived flaw in his resume is substantially illuminated in a desperate and pathetic attempt to try to nullify his massive advantage against other players. Other players who have played significantly longer in more watered down eras to stack hollow statistics.
And it's gonna have to be our responsibility to do our research. All right, do our research, because a bunch of people that are talking the most about this topic is people that, first of all, never played basketball. Second of all, were born in the 2000s. So what do you really know? You don't really know much. You don't really know. No, people are born in like 2010, 2000, between 2005 and now, saying, "Oh, LeBron's the best player." You haven't watched all the other guys. How can you say that without hesitation? It's one thing to say my opinion is, but without hesitation, he's the GOAT, no debate. What? You haven't watched everybody. Know what I'm saying? And the same thing with a lot of my older supporters saying, "Oh, Larry Bird is the best." Oh, Jordan. Like, there's gonna be differences between the players. Players will do specific things better, but especially if you don't watch all eras and have that wide spectrum of perspective, it's tough to listen to you when you talk about the GOAT. You know what I mean? It's tough, especially if you didn't play, and especially if you didn't watch every version, because it was fast paced in the 70s, slowed down towards the 90s. It was the slowest in the 2000s, picked back up in 2010. So it changed. It changes. So you're gonna have overinflation of stats now, right? In the 70s, right, with Wilt. So when making this comparison, think about everything. Think about everything. In fitness, people always like to say, you have good genetics. But when I tell people good genetics in one thing is bad genetics in another thing, people don't get it. I may have good genetics to be a football player, but I do not have good genetics to be a swimmer, for example. Even though I have long arms and long legs, the amount of muscle that I have wouldn't support swimming that much. You know what I mean? Or my genetics could be great for boxing as well because I have long arms, I have a long reach, so I can jab. I also have a good short enough frame to be someone like a Mike Tyson, to be an inside fighter. So I have the advantage to keep my distance because of my long arms, and the size and quickness to fight on the inside. So you need that level of context. You need that level of context. We need more intelligent arguers instead of emotional, childish arguments. Right?
And one of the biggest alleged weak points, if you want to categorize it as such, of Jordan's career was how he played at nearly the age of 40. I'm a man! I'm 40! As if that is an overwhelming or significant aspect used to evaluate a player's legacy. And with the various memes and gifs and garbage hot takes, it's garbage! Percolating around various social media platforms from various Gen Z know-nothings. Comparing Jordan at the age of 38 to other players. It is time.
You need every piece of context. And it's sad that the NBA analysts getting paid millions of dollars don't know anything about basketball. It's sad. It's sad. It's really sad. Being on the court playing is one thing, covering the sport is another thing, but not seeing the different eras is another additional thing. The three things affecting their mindset on these pointless debates. Pointless debates to a certain degree. Pointless. We will never know. We will never know. If we put every player in the same era, that's when we'll actually know. Because people don't have context anymore. People don't. People don't. The people born in 2010 and over are gonna say LeBron. People that were around the 2000s that watched Kobe are gonna say Kobe. The people that were in the 80s will say Bird or Magic. The people that were in the 90s will say Jordan. So it's biased thinking in all levels. I wish there was more people saying, this is what made this guy great. This is what made this guy great. This is why this guy can be compared to this guy. This is the context. This is what changed. This is how it affected everything. I wish people are more like thought outside the box instead of using the stat sheets. Because a lot of the stats now weren't existent back then. Know what I mean? A lot of the rules now weren't existent back then. The freedoms now weren't existent back then. Why does that go out the window when we talk about these debates? Why? We have idiots that grow YouTube pages talking nonsense, getting views, getting likes, getting all that, without being intelligent when they talk about it. It's pretty sad. And I told you all this stuff without looking at any stat sheets. None. Even when you talk about something like efficiency, you're going to compare a small forward to a shooting guard and say one is more efficient than the other. How stupid are you if you're doing that? First of all, those two different positions, you're going to be in the paint more if you're not a guard. That's number one. So when people make this kind of debate, it's like, do you hear yourself talking? Do you hear yourself talking? A shooting guard shooting 50% from the field, who's always in the perimeter. If a small forward, a power forward, or whatever shoots 51%, are they really more efficient? Are they really more efficient? And is efficiency only a field goal percentage? Isn't it turnovers? Isn't it 3-point percentage? Isn't it free throws? So efficiency only is FG percentage. People don't get it. I think we need to get a dictionary out and define efficiency. Alright? And when you're comparing efficiency, comparing two different positions without context, is dumb. Shaq is going to have a high free goal percentage no matter how you want to swing it. He's near the basket, 2 feet to the basket, dunking the basketball. What's the chances of missing that? 40%? So he's supposed to have a 60% field goal percentage if we're debating that. But if he's shooting 40% from the free throw line and has 2 or 3 turnovers a game, is he really that efficient? It's really that efficient. Isn't it a liability to have somebody miss 60% of their free throws and turn the ball over. Why aren't people thinking like this? So you're gonna call a guard that's in the perimeter most of the time, shooting 45% from the field inefficient, but they shoot 80% from the free throw line and gets like maybe 2 turnovers. You're gonna call that inefficient. But the person shooting 50% from the field, 70% from the free throw line, oh, they're more efficient. Really? So you're 10% under in free throws, but only 5% over in FG percentage, but you're more efficient. You see what I'm saying? We need that level of context when you're doing these dumb comparisons. The people aren't smart enough to do that. They're not. And I said that minus the positions, because the positions determine where you're going to have the most of your points. So centers, the FGs are going to be higher if you're not outside shooting threes. Duh.
Time to dig into the context of just what Michael Jordan's first season with the Washington Wizards, his aged 38th season, actually looked like. The year was 2001-2002. The LA Lakers were dominating the league as they would go on ultimately to win their third consecutive championship that summer behind Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant, who were both All-NBA first-team selections that season. Along with Bryant, various other elite perimeter players were ascending at that time, with Tracy McGrady joining Bryant on the first team that year, while Allen Iverson, who led the league in scoring that season, headlined the All-NBA's second team. But in the middle of it all, Michael Jordan decided to come out of retirement for a third time after a full 3 seasons.
And that's also another thing. Height. Height. The 6 foot guy like Allen Iverson, shooting 41% from the field, for example, as a shooting guard, in a league with the average height of what, 6'7", 6'6", whatever. That's pretty good. When people say inefficient, you shot 41% from the field as a 6 footer, taking about 24 shots a game, and shooting around 80% from the free throw line, and getting about 3 steals a game. That's efficient to me. For somebody that's 6 foot, in an era where teams average under 100 points. People don't think like that. People read a bunch of numbers on the stat sheet, and that's all they know. They don't know anything about the sport. They don't know anything. Let me tell you one thing: being shorter in the game of basketball, you need to have more skills. You need to be more skilled. You just do. Especially how this now is different. How it was before, dominated by bigs. You have to be more skilled. So this inefficient talk, people don't use context when they talk efficiency. They don't. They just don't. And the 6'9" guy versus a 6'6" guy, the 6'9" guy has, oh, his field goal percentage is 1% higher. He's more efficient. You sound dumb. You really sound like you don't know basketball when you say that. You just do. You just do.
He's in hiatus from the NBA. But he didn't go join his boy Phil Jackson to build a super team in LA and gravy train a 7th title. In fact, he didn't go build a super team anywhere. Jordan came out of retirement to join the Washington Wizards.
What?
You know, the Wizards, who had the 3rd worst record in the entire NBA the year before in the 2000-2001 season, behind minority owner and president of basketball operations, Michael Jordan, winning just 19 games that year, with Richard Hamilton and Juwan Howard leading the team in scoring that season en route to a putrid 19-63 record. But the heinous season did lead to the Wizards landing the top pick in the NBA draft that summer,
Kwame
using
Brown.
it to select
The Washington Wizards select Kwame Brown. What?
I mean, no one is saying Jordan is the GOAT of front office moves here. You see, Jordan wasn't trying to steal any cheap championships like what became the trendy thing to do in the 2010s. He was just, quite frankly, disgusted with the team he was now an owner of being a bunch of losers. So when he decided to come out of retirement, not only did Jordan not crawl on his hands and knees to another superstar's team, He also didn't grovel and beg for another superstar to come join him on the Wizards. Washington would make no other significant upgrade that offseason except adding the 38-year-old GOAT out of the owner's box after a 3-year layoff. Oh, and also they traded away their leading scorer from the year before, Juwan Howard. Jordan would sign a $1 million contract and donate the entirety of it to 9/11 relief efforts. See, it wasn't about stacking any more championships, accumulating any Hall of stats, and it wasn't about the money. It was about competition and teaching his assortment of young loser players how to compete and win. And when evaluating the Wizards' 37-45 year-end record that season, it looks like a pretty unspectacular season. And when viewing Jordan's stat line that year of 23 points per game, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists, well, that also doesn't look remarkable through the lens of the inflated scoring and stat stacking that happens in.
And this stat stacking is mainly due to the higher possessions, the referees giving the players freedom, the spacing, the shooting from 40 feet out. Like, all of that impacts. I mean, we're averaging 120 points a game now. Average 100. So to average 30 points now is not really that great. It's not. It's not. And we're trying to say these are better scores. You're just in a privileged era where you have more green lights to shoot from 40 feet out. That's it. That's it. It wasn't like this in the early 2000s. It certainly was not. And this is why you need people that saw everything to give the younger people more perspective. Because they don't have it. They don't have it. All they know is what is here now. And you'll keep going on like that, and all the greats will be forgotten. Maybe not all, but a lot of them will.
In today's offensively incentivized era. But take a closer look. Jordan, unsurprisingly at his age, experienced significant issues with his knee throughout the season and ended up playing only 60 of a possible 82 games that year. But in the 60 games he played, the Wizards were 30-30. So a team that was only 19-63 the year before, that traded away their leading scorer, played 500 basketball for the 3 quarters of the year that Jordan actually played. Jordan, meanwhile, at the age of 38, led the Wizards in scoring, assists, and steals, while he was 3rd in rebounding on the team that season. And taking a closer look at the 22.9 points per game. Yeah, that was actually good for 9th best in the entire NBA that season. In NBA, where league-wide scoring per game that year was just 95.5 points per game. For context,
as you can see, folks, my speakers died. That's why I cannot hear anything right now.
Look at that, folks.
Just wanted to thank all of you for coming to my YouTube channel and watching this video. The premise of the video was basically to try to gain something from that music video, which obviously
that's nuts. And I'm not even saying 16 points as in 3 points. 16 points if you shoot.
And it doesn't teach you anything tangible you can use in your life. But anyway, I hope this was an educational video
that
for
much
you to watch
and
20
implement
years in your life.
That's crazy. In mind, I can't believe that much time flew.
And be careful who you watch in the media,
was
who you look up to, and if you're a parent, watch what your kids watch. Because these are the clowns that are pushed on the internet every single day. And these are the clowns that lead the crowd to a bad path.
For context,
so if you're somebody in a leadership position, make sure you know what your people are doing when it comes to this kind of music. It's just awful. Anyways, thank you so much. Like always, get better every day, optimize yourself, and see you next video. God bless.
Jordan will average 38 to 40 points in this game easily. He did 37 when teams average under 100 points. Imagine teams averaging almost 120. How much you average? 45 points a game, easy. Same thing with Kobe. You did what? The 35 points a game season? teams were averaging 95 points. You average 40 as well. You also average 40. Easy. Easy. And we're it's laughable we're making this comparisons about the best scores ever. It's laughable. These guys have green lights beyond belief. You just have to watch the game to see. Because I've watched basketball for quite some time. Quite some time. Quite some time. I didn't see the 90s because I was still a baby, but I saw a lot of 2000s all the way to now. So I did watch a lot of basketball. And I play too, so I have that perspective.
And while Jordan physically would regress even more the following season, he still became the oldest player in NBA history to average 20 points per game for an entire season. And he did it while playing in all 82 games. Yes, in his aged 39 season, where he turned 40 halfway through the year. Michael Jordan managed to log all 82 games for the 9th time in his career. And in 2 other seasons, he played in 80 and 81 games. Also in this season, where he turned 40 in February, while playing 82 games on one leg, he averaged 37 minutes per game. Load management be damned. And
It's funny to put Kawhi Leonard for that. This is the low management king right now. Goodness gracious.
Jordan would add 6 rebounds and 5 assists per game to go along with his 20-point per game average in an NBA that had nightly averages of just 95.1 points per game. While calling Jordan's Wizards tenure an overwhelming success story, or claiming it added to his legacy as the easy, slam dunk GOAT, would maybe be a tad bit hyperbolic. But what Jordan achieved on the court during those 2 years is far from the punchline that many teenagers and liars in the mass media today portray it as. And it certainly doesn't invalidate Jordan's stranglehold on the mantle of GOAT, nor does it make other players' fabricated cases for that title any stronger.
Wow, beautiful. There you have it, folks. I just invite you to just have context when you make arguments. Have intelligent arguments. Don't be like a little child trying to get their way, with trying to be right. When you argue with somebody, try to understand what they're saying and argue with context because it does matter. It does matter. 10 years from now, the game will change. 20 years from now, the game will change immensely. What would the people 20 years from now be saying? Those players are better than all the other players? That's what they'll be saying. So we like this patterns are gonna keep going, and obviously you want the players to keep getting better, but at the same time, when making comparisons, you can never really know without making full assessments and full points with context. Anyway, that's it for my spiel. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Like, share, subscribe, stay tuned for more videos. Like always, get better every day. God bless.